Aloha and welcome to Java. Thank you all kindly for joining me again. This is for the week ahead. I would like to thank everybody that gave me well wishes for being here for over a year now. So I truly appreciate all of you. I've got quite a bit to go over. This is probably going to be a longer one, so I just want to warn you now. But I've got a lot of things I would like to go over with you, starting with the market and then with some things going on that you may not see very often elsewhere. So getting right into it. It's Sunday, April 21st, 2024. We're going to look at our main risk indicator, the MMRI. We're in extreme levels of risk in the United States market at the moment. So, with that, we're watching the main elements, relative strength of the dollar, which is really key, and the 10-year yield on the rates. So, the dollar above 106 and still climbing at the moment. We've got the 10-year yield approaching the 5% mark now off of recent comments. So, if those continue to rise, they will continue to crush the stock market prices and could cause a serious triggering sell off because of the automated algorithms basically set sell prices. So these are set by the larger, what we call institutional money, the smart money, hedge funds. And hedge funds have turned bearish in April, according to Goldman Sachs. So we've also got uh, other banks saying that Wall Street is facing make or break week with Tesla and GDP with inflation on deck. So we know GDP generally is higher because of all of the war weaponry. All of that counts into the United States GDP. However, let's go into the fear and greed index at the moment. We're solidly in fear range at 31 at the moment, not into extreme fear yet, but that could change rapidly as we've seen this past week. So, in this sentiment, we've got some unusual setups. And this is being heavily watched, as I said, by the institutional investors. So, overall, markets are very weak, and we've got earnings season coming to a close this week. So, going into our schedule, we've got not much as far as numbers scheduled on Monday. Tuesday, the PMIs are going to be watching durable goods Wednesday. Thursday is the GDP number with jobless claims. And then we're going into Friday with PCE, which will be huge because it's the basically what's coming in consumer sentiment and personal spending. So the earnings we're looking forward to this week, we've got quite a few large ones coming in. Tesla, Boeing, Spotify, and GM. But on Friday, ExxonMobil and Chevron. So those will be affected because the United States just put in sanctions in place on Iran. So that should raise prices and probably make Iran a lot of money if they go along the way that they have. So under our real economy and with labor, we've got major layoffs still happening and more job cuts to come. So right now we've got Nike. They're cutting because they're saying they've got a revenue decline. They're talking about layoff wave hitting U.S. job market, and a lot of employers just cutting workforces because they have to cut their numbers. We've got Amazon cutting hundreds of jobs. They're all looking to reduce their costs, and it's not limited to the United States. So we've got 5 waves of UBS layoffs to start in June. So UBS in the banking sector. So with this, we've got the U.S. House just passed a $95 billion foreign aid package. So this is mostly going to Ukraine. And with this going to Ukraine, this is not going to rebuild or to feed people. This is more war and basically killing more people. We'll go more into that in a moment. So with this, we've got the United States Army National Guard owing thousands to former soldiers in bonuses and telling them to figure it out. So not paying their own debts, not paying their own fighters, and sending this abroad. So it's I normally try to keep my basic opinion out, but it's infuriating to watch that. So with the consumer, we are watching more and more Americans. They have a term for them called ALICEs. It stands for Americans who are asset limited, income constrained, but still employed. So they can't afford rent or groceries, but they don't qualify for government assistance. So they are being targeted. They are a sector of the middle class. And basically, the pressure is to push them down into the lower rung to where they are on government assistance. Because the more you have on those, the easier it is to control. So I've got, of course, it's a classic of Alice in Wonderland, if you don't know, with the cards falling upon her. So didn't know what he was drawing back then, but that's what's happening right now. So middle class being destroyed. You either move up or you're going to be crushed down. Most of them going to be crushed down. So with this, if you try to get out of this by investing in the stock market or elsewhere, the SEC is going to illegally track and surveil every single dollar you make in the stock market. So there's a lawsuit going on with that, but more privacy going to the wayside and more surveillance happening. So with that, I wanted to bring up again this story because I can't stress it enough. We've got WorldCoin. This is Sam Altman again. He is the one that is now involved with ChatGPT, has put himself in bed with Microsoft. They're building a layer 2 chain. What does this mean? This means they're building the payment system that WorldCoin could run on or others. So basically a full structure for a possible CBDC, whether they call it that or not, will be complete with biometrics, retinal scanning and otherwise, as well as the surveillance, the back-end power of Microsoft, the artificial intelligence of ChatGPT, and then also Microsoft has their own data storage called OneDrive that they're quietly expanding in the background. So we've got Amazon, their version is Amazon Web Services, or AWS. So look for this to basically it's building quietly in the background so they can implement this system to save when people scream that they need a solution. So moving forward into wars and trade wars, spoke about this before, the importance of Turkey. They are both a physical land bridge. They are a strategic military positioned spot, and they are also kind of playing in between the middle. So it's meeting with Hamas political leader in Istanbul. They should raise some eyebrows, and they're not really paying attention to this. So Friday, I want to bring this up too. With markets, United States said Israel had struck Iran. Now, we're getting stories on one side saying that Rafah was struck and that children were murdered, but for this other attack that happened, the explosions in Isfahan, both Israel and Iran saying they have a muted response. So Iran said they're not going to make a move because it wasn't proven who did it, and Israel also being quiet on the other side. That's very odd, and there is a lot behind that. I think they were told basically to step back. That's just my supposition, but there's a lot more behind that. We'll keep you up to date on that. So, with this, we've got another quiet story. The United States Navy is going to convert oil rigs into mobile military bases. So this is a lot more spending. We know they're going to inflate ridiculously. One more way they're going to do it. So I wanted to bring this up. It's called the Sea-Based X-band Radar, or the nickname for it is the SBX-1. If you have not heard about this, it's this one right here. It looks like a giant floating golf ball. It's massive radar and surveillance rigged on top of an oil rig, and it's mobile. And this exists now. They've got it floating around. They've actually got a couple of them. This one in particular is in the Pacific Ocean, monitoring, surveilling things in the Asian front, so to speak. How do I know? This docks frequently in Hawaii and goes through Marshall Islands, a couple of other areas. But if you have not seen this or known what this is, complete possibility and basically a game changer. So moving on. We had Moscow. With this passing of this bill, they're issuing a dire warning after this $95 billion more. So this is Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova. So, saying basically Washington is driving deeper into a hybrid war directly with Russia. They're, of course, willing to fight to the last Ukrainian. There's not very many left. And they're hoping to keep Kiev afloat until the United States presidential election. So her direct quote is that military aid to the Kiev regime is direct sponsorship of terrorist activities. Funds sent to Taiwan is interference in the internal affairs of China, while aid sent to Israel is straightway to unprecedented escalation of a conflict in the region. That was her quote. I'm surprised she didn't mention Iran directly because it's really what is going on. So, moving to a slight different region because this all ties in together. We've got United States troops pulling out of Niger. The African nation shredded the military agreement last month, so they are no longer welcome there. We've got another African state nation moving to kick out the US military. It's Chad. So they have reportedly asked American troops to stop activities at an airbase near their capital. And in the meantime, we've got Russian exports to Africa exceeding sales to the Americas. So basically, Africa saw a 100% increase in purchases of Russian goods. So if you can't see the change in dynamics here, that's what's going on. So more under the wars, we've got China's talking about US militarizing space with the Starshield satellite network. Well, of course that's true. They're all doing it. But the United States has this is the war in space. We've got a space force now. They're basically using not just Starlink, which is what was the key of that one, but all of the satellites for surveillance. And this is kind of known. So another portion that's gone into this war in the advancement, United States has basically they just had their first dogfight between an artificial intelligence jet and a human pilot. So this is all under US DARPA, the Department of Defense Agency, basically, their air combat evolution, along with the Air Force. So kind of advancing this, teaching AI how to fight. But the frightening part about this is that they are able to use this against enemies, both foreign or domestic. So just want to put that out there for you. I've got a couple of lava updates for you. They're talking about extreme weather threatening the Irish potato output. So this happened before, created the famine, happened a while back, and this drove actually Irish immigration, if you're not aware of that. So could happen again, but I don't know that they would come to the United States because the opportunity is not what it was. Things have changed. So I also wanted to bring up this story because I think it's kind of funny and a little more light. What's for dessert? Because the cicadas are about to emerge. So they're planned for the menu at New Orleans Insectarium. So I think this is going to be very interesting. Not too far from the French Quarter, if you're familiar with where that is. I've got a couple of restaurants putting cicadas on the menu. So they've got this dish is a salad. And yeah, I'm pretty adventurous. I don't know that I'm interested in trying that, but anyway, something for you. With that, I wish you a good rest of your weekend, and until I see you again, my friends, stay free.